Mild spoiler warning for JoJo Part 9, this video is not about this Rohan, or that Rohan, it's about this Rohan, who exists in the Steel Ball Run universe and is a different person from the original, although they look the same, are still a mangaka, and still have Heaven's Door. If you have any further questions, take it up with Araki, not me. So the alternate Rohan acts as the antagonist for the prologue of Part 9 and introduces us to the driving mechanism behind its story, the lava rocks, which have the power to attract valuables and make their owner extremely wealthy. And since this first arc, the story has expanded quite a lot, but even after all of the new developments, I always find myself coming back to the question, how did Rohan know about the lava rocks? So in this video, I'll be breaking down everything we know about this alternate Rohan, what his goal might be, and exploring the theory that Rohan knew about their power before coming to Hawaii and what that entails for the future. So going back to the start of the story, we first encounter Rohan when our crew is tipped off by airport security about a Japanese tourist who brought a $6 million diamond into the country. Although when our crew arrives at the tourist villa to steal the diamond, they discover a laboratory where someone is researching rocks, and are attacked by famous mangaka Rohan Kishibe and begin to witness the strange flow of valuables, eventually leading to the discovery of the lava rocks that were being kept in a safe, which Argane steals and have been using ever since in their plot against Howler, the man who owns the land where the rocks come from, which to our knowledge right now is the northern slope of the Hualalai volcano. Although as to how or why Rohan was researching the rocks was largely dismissed, just chalked up to he's a quirky guy, and it wasn't until Charming Man was introduced that we learned more about Rohan, as Charming Man would frequently return to the Hualalai volcano to search for his missing brother, and it's there where he saw Rohan, who was wandering around the mountain in restricted areas, scattering money all around the ground and collecting rocks. Clearly bizarre behavior, so Charming Man started to follow Rohan and kept tabs on him, leading to the discovery of his villa and that Rohan would travel back and forth from Hawaii and Japan, bringing all kinds of valuables to experiment with. So it is vaguely explained how Rohan found the rocks, but it also seems to contradict itself, as we learn all of this from Charming Man, who is not a definitive source on Rohan's intentions, he's just telling us what he observed, saying Rohan happened across the lava rocks when taking a hike and took a profound interest in them and started doing experiments with high value art and precious metals. But then in the next page says that in order to find these lava rocks, Rohan had to search an enormous area and only found 2 of them, and these are rocks that look exactly the same as any ordinary lava rock, mind you. So it would seem almost certain that he had to have known what he was looking for, as the odds of him accidentally finding a special rock among the thousands of ordinary rocks across the entire mountain without even knowing that there are special rocks would just be insane. And we even see his searching method of scattering money and waiting for a reaction. He would only do that if he knew about their power. And going back to Rohan's villa, JoJo had found photos and maps on Rohan's iPad detailing where to search, and in the lab were a bunch of ordinary rocks scattered on the ground, so he was working under the assumption that not all of the rocks were the same and was looking for something specific. So establishing that Rohan knew what he was looking for, it leads into the question, how did he learn about this? Since Rohan is very similar to the original, being a mangaka, it would be in his nature to have a strong curiosity for the bizarre, which he could use as inspiration for his stories, and it's pretty common for the original Rohan to get in situations where he hears rumors of something supernatural and goes to investigate or just goes on adventures hoping it leads to unique experiences. That's what his entire spin-off series is about. So I think it's entirely possible that Rohan from Part 9 had stumbled across rumors or folklore that told about magical rocks in Hawaii that bestow their owner with riches, and then traveled to Hawaii, specifically to Hualalai, looking for those rocks. So that answer in itself isn't very shocking or a revelation that makes much of a difference in the story, but it could lead into the possibility that more people know about these rocks, which in modern society would be highly sought after, possibly more so than the Rokakaka fruit from Part 8. And so far in Part 9, the story feels pretty contained. It's only our main cast and the bad guy that know about their existence. And then there's Rohan, of course, which is unlike Part 7 and 8, where we had many different parties fighting over the Holy Corpse and Rokakaka, which made the story extremely dynamic as the power constantly shifted possession. So what Rohan's prologue could tell us for the future is that more people might be coming for these rocks that shake up the story and take the focus away from Howler, or give JoJo and Howler a common enemy and the opportunity to work together. It could be Rohan himself, or maybe those that informed him about the lava rocks. And now we're getting into the more insane theory that what if Rohan was working for the Speedwagon Foundation? I know that sounds silly, but hear me out. So the ending of recent JoJo parts always set up or lead into the next story. At At the end of part 7, we see Johnny begin his voyage to Europe, where he would meet Rina Higashikata and Shos Norisuke, foreshadowing JoJoLands' setting and Johnny's future. At the end of JoJoLand, we see Joseph Joestar in a flashback, and we learn he returned to America with Lucy Steele and worked in Atlantic City, which directly leads into part 9 with Jodio Joestar being Joseph's grandson and was originally born in New Jersey. But also at the end of JoJoLand, we are introduced to the Speedwagon Foundation, who are first mentioned in Steel Ball Run, but just as the Speedwagon Oil Company who helped fund the race. But later in the alternate universe, the Speedwagon Foundation would also form a special investigations team that searches around the world for supernatural phenomena. As Lucy Steele, who worked for them, traveled to Japan to investigate the Rokakaka, which had started being distributed in Morio by Toru. And although she says the foundation is dedicated to science and that she's part of the botanist team, we do learn her real purpose is to investigate the supernatural. And earlier in part 8, we had seen a younger Lucy Steele had already been to Japan to investigate the ground of Morio to maybe find a connection between the Devil's Palm. So this introduction of the Speedwagon Foundation and establishing that they fulfill a similar role to the original universe could have been foreshadowing for part 9, maybe even that Rohan was working for them, as the research he was doing looked more scientific and intentional than his usual behavior. And since he's already a Stan user, lives in Morio where we know they have been investigating, and seem to have been tipped off about the rock's existence, him working on their behalf isn't out of the realm of possibilities, especially considering that this is a new Rohan that we don't know everything about, and being an agent for the Foundation would probably be like a dream come true for him and provide tons of ideas for his manga. Although I'm not too locked in on this theory specifically that Rohan is working for them, and more so wanted to pose the idea that it would be interesting for the Speedwagon Foundation to have a role in the JoJoLands, considering the epilogue of part 8 was all about how they investigate biological and geographical anomalies. And having the character named Joe Dio having to fight against the Speedwagon Foundation, that would just be too perfect and a complete reversal of roles from the original story. Because as it stands, it feels like the JoJoLands is heading towards a shakeup. It's so early in the story and we've seemingly already confronted the main villain of the entire part, so are we just gonna do Jodio versus Howler for another 80 chapters with a bunch of minor villains in between? Maybe. Or is the story going to introduce new parties that come between them that allow these characters to be seen in a new light and change over time? Possibly all tying back to the beginning of the part, as Rohan did say he was sure they would meet again and wasn't giving Jodio the lava rock to keep, only leaving it in his care, and that he needs to embrace ambition and climb higher to reach the mechanism. So we saw Rohan go from an antagonist to more of a supportive mentor role in Jodio's journey and wants to see him grow, kinda similar to Jonathan and Speedwagon, who at the start fought on Ogre Street, but through Jonathan's resolve gains the respect and support of Speedwagon and supports him throughout that story. Maybe there's something there, or I'm just tweaking, but there really is so many possibilities for part 9. Things really could go anywhere, so might as well throw out the most wild theories I have, and I think Rohan is certainly going to be important for the future. And of course, let me know your guys' insane JoJoLands theories, and we can use this video as a sort of forum board if anyone has anything they want to add on to the Speedwagon Foundation theory, or has their own ideas they want to share on some details I really haven't even noticed yet. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, like if you enjoyed, sub for more, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Peace!